he was coming towards his house, and he was leading his dog on the golf cart, and we was getting closer. I could tell the golf cart wasn't going, and I thought, he's surely not trying to. Well, yeah, and I thought, he's trying to make that dog pull that golf cart. Well, then he gets out and starts pushing it, and I said,
have a good sending address here for him. Well, we have the sending system.
And then he hopped in it and took off.
Oh, you let the dog get in?
No, he didn't let the dog get in. He finally just turned it loose. So.
The way I read that, we couldn't really do an abatement for that. But, I don't know.
He found what he had some good dogs like that.
On the, I don't know, something that I read from Tracy's office. I'm going to have to look at it more. That's what we're, yeah, they all, most of us in the Mandarin, wasn't it? Oh, goodness. Morning time.
Okay, y'all ready?
We're ready.
Got that on. All right, good morning. It's 10:01. We'll call the Wichita County Commissioners Court order. Everyone please rise. This time I'd like to call on Commissioner Fincannon to give the invocation.
Pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord. Just thank you, Lord, for allowing us to be here in a country where we can come together and pray before you, Lord. Thank you for allowing us to be here today to do what's right to try to do what's right for the county residents, to make the best decisions we can moving forward with county business. Lord, I just want to say a special thanks to this time where we had Memorial Day and remembered our fallen soldiers. Lord, continue to be with our soldiers, our military, our first responders as they move forward to protect us, Lord. Also, I want to ask that you would lay your healing hand on one of my county crew that's going through some medical issues. All these things, Lord, I ask through your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Y'all join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. I'd like to take stage place. This time I'd like to ask Kirk Wolf to come forward, please. Good to find you. Okay. It's hard for me to think that Kirk could have been here 35 years because he and I go back to our Midwestern days. But in all honesty, truth in age, he was a student and I was the dean of students, assistant dean of students. So he isn't quite as old as me, but he's been here longer than I have. And but this, Kirk, this is for 35 years of service to Wichita County. Congratulations on reaching your milestone service anniversary. Through your hard work, dedication, and loyalty, Wichita County is able to provide quality services to the citizens of Wichita County. In honor of your service, you may order a gift of choice from the black folder I'm going to give you. Please accept your gift as an expression of our thanks for your service. On behalf of the Commissioners Court of Wichita County, signed this 26th day of May by members of the court. And Kirk, there's more to it than those words. In what you've done and given from the time when you started as a probation officer and have come through, you not only have given your mind to it, but you've given your heart to it. The relationships, it's always nice to see the kids that you've had in detention and I've had in court come back and with their prison tattoos and tell us they finally got it straight. They didn't get it straight when you were trying or I was trying, but some of them did. And we're grateful for that, for the starfish that do go back in and left and go on in. So things you'd like to say, sir?
Just I appreciate all of y'all, and of course, thanks to the juvenile board that I appreciate their placing me in this position. Jess Gosselin, Judge McKnight, and both on that board. I have the greatest staff in the world, and I say that I have the greatest job for some.
Judge McKnight, you're chairman of our board, I believe this year. Juvenile, no.
He's the adult.
He's the adult, that's right. Okay, well,
But
he's
one of my bosses there too.
Yeah.
He's also the director of the adult probation. He stepped in at the time of
Yes.
we'll call it crisis, and has run that office exactly like I knew he could and would, and has turned that department around as well. And we're just fortunate that he was willing to step into both roles.
Yes, sir. And the crisis is over under his leadership,
Yes.
correct? Yeah. Don't pause on me.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, one other person we want to recognize, and I'm going to let you do the recognition.
Well, I'll
Ms.
leave
Parker.
to Joanne. Would you come up here, please? Well, back in the day, there was an agency called Family Court Services. And Joanne and I both worked for Family Court Services. She was in the Child Support Division, and I started in juvenile probation. It also comprised of adult probation, and CPS was also part of Family Court Services at the time that we became employed. A lot of years have passed. 1987, wow, I was just... I can't believe it. Anyway, Joanne worked over in the Child Support Division from 1987 until 2004. Family Court Services was dissolved in 2003, and Child Support had to finish up some business, and she came over to juvenile probation to be one of our administrative assistants in 2004, and there she stays. And I see her every day walking in. We have a lot of conversations about politics and other things. And she's one of my go-to people over there. But this says certificate is presented to Joanne Parker for 35 years of service to Wichita County. Congratulations on meeting this milestone anniversary. I will say, I'll just be repeating myself as what Judge Gosselin read, but you know, Joanne comes to work every day. She is diligent in the work that she does, and she also cares about the kids that we deal with up in probation. We talk a lot about the things that we have seen over the years, and there's some things that are still the same that we saw back in 1987, but well, a lot of things have changed, and sometimes not for the better, but it's what we do. We're trying to make things better. Joanne is a special part of juvenile probation, and I want to congratulate her. She became an employee on the 18th day of May in 1987. Right? Thank you so much.
Here's the other thing. See that beautiful smile? When you're walking in and you know you're going to sit down and you're going to deal with juveniles that have trouble, you have to pass by Joanne, and she gives that smile to everybody.
And she fends off a lot of upset people sometimes, too, because not everyone's happy when their child is arrested, taken into custody, and she's that first person sometimes that has to deal with that. And so she handles it quite well. But I appreciate everything that you do for the department. Thank you. You bet.
I'd just like to say that, I have enjoyed working for Wichita County all these years, and I had some good bosses, and Kirk has been a really great boss to work under, and I appreciate everything that he has done. He's taught me a lot through the years, and watching him and how he looks at the future for the department and us employees, and I have enjoyed working for him all these years, and I appreciate him. And when we retire, the county's gonna miss him for sure, so I just want to say that.
Such a selfless person, Charlene, is, and she's always thinking of others, and I appreciate those kind words. Thank you. And you get a gift too, and I think my last time I ordered a chainsaw.
Back with your guess. Yeah, come on. Back up.
Now, Kurt, this time you get to choose between the Lexus and Mercedes.
But I'm a Ford guy.
Well, you know,
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Okay, it's the part of the meeting we go open for public comments. It is 10:10. Does anyone in the audience have anything to bring before the court? Anyone on the call? Okay, hearing none, we will adjourn from the public comments at 10:10. Consent agenda. I'm going to ask the court to hold off on taking action. There's some things I'd like to get clarified that I noticed. To approve the minutes from that meeting in CA 22, I think we need to correct it. It says Department 516, and I think that should be 561.
Where are you at, Judge, on what number?
First item on the consent agenda.
Remove that.
Just make that correction in the motion.
Okay.
And then for item 4, the motion to donate the previously used evidence lockers on. Chief, did you all check with any of the other departments or anybody before we're going to give those away? Those are nice looking lockers.
I did not. They've been sitting back there since we moved beyond the 50-yard line.
Yeah. No, I don't. You didn't have it for sale sign or I just was curious whether we ought to. Those are really nice lockers. I didn't know whether the precincts might have any use for parts storage equipment or any of the other offices before we.
And that's fine. We didn't check with anybody. I knew they've been sitting back there for a while.
Yeah, and a good move to get rid of them. But would it be amenable if we pass this, but we allow 2 weeks, we send that out to departments and see if there's anybody who wants to claim them, and then we'd already have the action done, and we'll give them to our neighboring county if.
Holiday Police Department.
Yeah, Holiday Police Department, excuse me, thank you. Does that sound fair enough?
That's fine.
And Will, how do they compare to a locker?
Well, there's pictures of them in your agenda.
Right. 6 lockers, taller 3-foot lockers. And one set is one set of the back door right there. So one lockers that we can see. Holiday doesn't have any lockers. They would store everything so it's sticking in the column. And they were trying to upgrade how they handle everything. And they call to the lockers. I knew we had quite a few, but right there it says behind the 50-yard line there.
Yeah. Would you send those out, Chief? Just all department heads see and elected officials see if anybody needs them, and if not, let's go ahead and dispose of them. The next item, item 5 on that $23,000 payment for repair of a vehicle. Okay, we have a $5,000 limit on anything.
That is that one that was involved in the crash. Yes. Come back to that.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. Unless, Ms. Jennings, you may have something on that, I think, also.
Yes, that was the one that was involved in the incident on Kelly Freeway. As I understand from the sheriff's office, they were having difficulty getting vehicles, and they'd like to go ahead and get this one fixed. I will let you all know, the county have received and they forwarded me a letter from Farmers Insurance saying they are doing an investigation. Of course, we would move forward regarding farmers, and they think that claim is disallowed. But that's as understand it, I hate to speak for them, but in my discussions with them, they are going to need a vehicle and they need to get this one repaired because they can't get it. So that does seem like a lot, but they do believe that'll get them back on the road faster.
But our claim has been denied so far.
It has not been denied, it is
Oh.
under investigation.
Under investigation.
Right, so I have not heard from them about this, I just got the letter saying they have opened up a claim. So that's where we're at, on my side of it, and that's why they are, typically this will be something we might look at in terms of the value, but because they can't get a vehicle, they're concerned about it, is my question.
I didn't see a mileage in any of the documentation. What kind of mileage are we talking
I
about?
would say it's around 80,000 on that vehicle.
On the-
That's what I heard.
Yeah, and then,
And the value of the vehicle, if it wasn't wrecked?
I have no idea.
Oh, I think it'd bring that much money
what
easily.
did we pay, we're paying the DA's office for that one, they had a trade-in value for
About
2,000.
55 for a new one.
No,
Oh,
no, no.
Oh, what did we pay for the used one?
Yeah, their used one, we're,
Like
16?
I thought it was in
yeah,
the
but it's
mid-teens.
an older,
It's a 15 model, wasn't it?
yeah, but it had 100,000 miles on it.
I'm thinking in the 30s, Mickey.
That's,
Ballpark figure, and of course, that depends whether you count the build out on it, you know, with all the special equipment.
I mean, that is a lot of money to put in 18, but
You know,
there again, can you get them?
you can't replace it for that.
Well, I think the likelihood, though, if the value on it is less than that, that's all we're probably going to be able to get for the insurance, you think?
Well, I mean, if it's in that 80,000 mile range, you're talking about a vehicle that'll go another 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some value there. And right now, I don't think you could get a new one in 6 months.
I don't think we'll get a new until 2024.
Yeah. So, anyway, I think
Okay.
it's not a
Yeah.
it's not a great deal, but I think it's a reasonable.
Well, it's at half its life, and we're paying half again for it, so,
And hopefully we'll recover.
yeah,
some of that.
the
Okay.
potential recover.
I'm satisfied with that.
It's not a terrible deal.
Okay, and then, item number 8, a motion to file Angel Armor's invoice in the amount of $5,300. Is that on that grant, or is that for the armor?
It's the body armor, I don't know, that was Chief McCarron said it was an emergency deal too, so. It's that, it's body armor, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
All these grant stuff,
And
that's
we'll,
still pending, I believe.
on that too, I noticed that on Bill's Friday, there were 3 gulls.
Goals.
This one and another one we called the auditor about, and there was a body armor, it was a, well, Mark, do
It
you
wasn't
remember
from
the name
Gulls,
of
no.
that one? Something
Yeah.
Energy, or is it,
This
it's a
is,
funny name?
I believe this is the body armor similar to what the PD receives. That
Oh.
The full plate is lightweight, is the full.
Right,
full
okay.
plate.
This is that rifle resistant
Yes.
grant? Okay.
Yes.
I just noticed that there were 3 different deals, and Angel and another company too with body armor.
Well, the quantity of them is not very much, so it's not across the
And
department.
on that car on 5, the Tahoe, I ran into a car yesterday crossing in Iowa Park, a little black car, small, that had a Wichita County Sheriff's sticker on the side of it, a square sticker, wasn't anything like your emblem, but it said Wichita County Sheriff's Department.
Would be one of ours.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was very odd. The sticker was odd to me. I mean, it was easy to see. It was a full color sticker, but it was on a white square bumper sticker thing that went on the door. And,
That'd be interesting.
well, yeah, that was
See
crazy.
it again, so it's
Okay.
You can get the tag number.
Y'all still have the Mustang?
Do what?
Tag number?
Yeah.
I could, maybe I'll see it again. I just thought maybe it was something because y'all were short or something.
No, sir.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, because I made sure I looked at it because it caught my eye when it said Wichita County, and the emblem was your full star that you got on your shirt with the full color in it. You know, I mean, it was.
He didn't write you a ticket, did he?
No.
Hopefully not.
Item number 9, is that a new position that we're funding through grant?
I did follow up on that this morning. I called Jim about that. That is a grant, 100% paid for by grant, for 2 years.
For 2 years?
At the end of that 2 years, reevaluate. But I hadn't heard about it either. Evidently, he made a presentation to the court, I guess. But that sound right? That's what he said to me, and that's what I found out this morning.
So it is 100% funded for the first 2 years.
Anything you all want to add to that, since you're here on that grant?
Not much, I don't have questions. It is 100% funded through TIEC for the 2-year period. And then after that, of course, as you mentioned.
Okay.
Item 11, the capital credits for unclaimed property. I understand it's doing that, but do we know how much funding is available or any other details on that?
Willie, can you address that? You deal with that for us. On item 11, the utility refunding. Yeah. It's just miscellaneous revenue.
Okay.
How does it accumulate, Willie?
It's collected as part of an energy bill.
Yeah, it's excess revenue or I read that the other night.
It's just,
I believe it's explains it in your attachments.
yeah, it's collected from electrical co-ops. But that's
Would that be
not,
like unclaimed dividends, you know, how the
Yeah.
co-ops pay dividends?
Right, I believe it's all
The state.
undistributed electrical funds, overpayments, deposits, a number of different things that comes together, but it's just distributed to counties if you apply for it. We've applied for it and gotten, and nothing remarkable, but some this year.
okay. So we already participate in this. This is not anything
No,
new.
it's nothing new.
Okay.
And Judge, on 12 and 13, I had questions. I know there were some Industrial Development Corporation funds left. How did we absorb those, or what came of that?
Well, we didn't. That's what this is doing, is to close those out. This is one of those things on my bucket list, and Willie's, and I think also the attorney that's handling for us, we're all about to retire, and I think we just want to get this one cleaned up and done, get that money or come back to the general fund of the county. It's about $40,000. Does that satisfy that?
Yes, and is there any money in that Facilities Development Corporation?
Between the two of them, it's about $40,000.
Okay, so combined.
Yeah.
I did note on item 13, there's a typo in the resolution document. It's showing it as the Wichita County Industrial Development Corporation instead of the Wichita County Health Facilities Development Corporation.
Okay.
So,
So they're both the same.
No.
No, they're two different entities.
Okay, the other one I wanted to make a clarification on item number 10. In the statement there, all purchases costing $5,000 or more must be submitted to the Commissioners Court for approval in advance, except the sheriff's ammunition, orders, jail supplies, fuel for county vehicles, and equipment and maintenance emergencies which require immediate action. I wanted to add the words with the approval of the county judge, which is the way we've been doing that. someone to be able to decide that. That's too open.
I'll make a motion to approve
I'll
consent.
second.
With the modification.
With-
Yes, sir.
The consent agenda was almost not a consent agenda.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of different stuff here.
What are surplus shower pans worth?
I'm waiting to find out, and I've got a question into our architects to find out. We're not gonna get what we paid for them,
Imagine that.
but it beats them sitting out in the rain.
Okay. Y'all ready to take the vote on this? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. That's probably the most lengthy consent agenda we've had in a long time. Okay, item number 1 is review and approve the regular bills for payment or the county treasurer to disperse payroll and bill payments within 72 hours via U.S. mail, FedEx, UPS, or electronically unless directed otherwise, or may be picked up and ledgered in the treasurer's office.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions on the bills tonight? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2 is discuss, consider, and take action on the application for commercial tax abatement in Wichita County for the KWF LLC. Mr. Kelty, would you want to address the court and just tell us about your project? Yes, wherever you'd like to.
Thanks, sir.
So, sorry, should I sit down?
If now you stand over here close to that microphone that's on the back of that chair right there. Thank you.
So my name is Will Kelty, and I'm coming here to ask you to collaborate with me on improving downtown. Specifically, with a project that I'm trying to redevelop, which I'm calling the Cape. It's the old petroleum building, which is located at 726 Scott. You guys may recognize it from the Highlander Restaurant, which is in the ground floor. And just by way of background, I came here back in 2015, I believe. And Big Blue brought me here. I was interested in real estate. I literally found Big Blue on the internet and came here and walked around downtown and fell in love with downtown. I've been here ever since. I live in California, but I've been here ever since investing in downtown Wichita Falls and trying to help bring that back to the days that I think were, I've seen pictures of the old days where the streets are crowded. There were street lights at, the corner of Indiana and Scott, or Indiana and 8. And I love the charm of downtown. So that's what brought me here. And I originally invested in Big Blue. Big Blue had sat vacant for a number of years. All sorts of issues with the infrastructure of that building, but we're bringing it back online. We've now got 54 tenants in that building. Still, unfortunately, losing money on it, but we do have 54 tenants and growing. And then the second building was what I call City Center Wichita Falls. It's on the corner of Indiana and 8th. It's 724 and 728 Indiana are the addresses, where Maniac Mansion is downtown. So that building had ground floor retail in it, as both buildings actually had ground floor retail in it. But the upstairs was vacant. It was built out as office space, and it really wasn't being utilized. Elevators haven't worked in there for years. So I bought that building and I put in 30 lofts above that. And it was a struggle, but we got it done. And those lofts are 100% occupied today. And it's bringing more people downtown that will, patronize businesses downtown and help bring downtown back to life. From the county's perspective, just to put that, or just to call that out, the property tax rolls when I bought it were around $40,000, I think, and today they're about $2.5 million. So the improvement impacts not only that building, but it also impacts the surrounding businesses. I got frustrated the other day when I couldn't find parking in front of it, and I was laughing at myself because it's a good problem to have when we start to have to drive around the corner to actually find a place to park. The third building on that list that I gave you is the project that we're talking about, which I refer to as the Cape. I bought it about 5 years ago, roughly, and my intent was to do it in 3 phases, and that was to get the ground floor occupied, restore utilities to the 4 floors of hotel rooms, get those occupied, and then deal with the upper 5 floors. I went down the path of trying to get funding for that. The funding fell through. There were a couple of concerns, but it's challenging to do a project in a non-primary community. Meaning, if I were in the Metroplex, funding's available. If I'm in a secondary market, it's challenging to get funding on a project like this. Part of the reason for that challenge is that you're going to spend more money doing the project than the value of the project. So for the past several years, I've been searching around for alternative ways of making it happen. And I've literally gone through over 50 different lenders, been rejected by all of those lenders. Finally went down the path of historic tax credits. And the historic tax credits, if you're not familiar with them, they basically allow me to get a portion of the money that I spend back in the form of a tax credit, which I can then, in the case of a state tax credit, I can sell on the open market. The federal tax credits are a little bit more challenging. I have a partner that stays with me for 5 years that invests in those federal tax credits. So I've never done it before, but I've had to do it on this project to make this project work. PNC is the federal tax credit buyer. Trans-Pecos Bank is doing the construction loan and the bridge loan on the project. And then there's a state tax credit buyer, which is Commerce Bank, and then there's a number of different players that are involved in this process, and they all come together and they've given me a couple of stipulations. One of those stipulations was to collaborate with the city and seek a tax abatement on this project, and the other was to do the same with the county. The city has already approved that tax abatement. We've already signed that agreement, and what I'm asking of the county is to also come to the table with a similar type tax abatement on the project. A couple other projects that I've done here in Wichita Falls. I don't know if you're familiar with the Wichita Falls Brewing Company, but that is literally the result of me walking into the Iron Horse Pub and finding out that there was no local brew. So I contacted somebody, met with some brewers, finally found out that the guy that I needed was down in Austin, so I went down to Austin. Matt Bitchy, who owns the brewing company, he and I struck an informal agreement where I would buy a building for him. He would build it out. Eventually, he will buy it from me. So he came back to Wichita Falls. He started a brewing company. I think that's a great success for downtown. Another collaboration that I'm working on currently is 713 Indiana. 713 Indiana was an abandoned building. The roof had caved in on it. It was an eyesore. Some would argue it was probably dangerous. Certainly to go inside it was. And I've been collaborating with the city on that. We managed to get it abated. We managed to get it cleaned out, and we've just completed, actually we're about to complete the steel structure, and we're going to be able to keep the original facade on that building. So my main project, other than that 713 Indiana right now, is this. Like I said, I call it the Cape 726 Scott. Because it had sat vacant for a decade, everything in it is trashed. All the utilities, all the infrastructure on it, the chiller systems, the elevators, the plumbing, HVAC, everything is trashed on the inside. So it's basically on the upper floors, it's completely gutting it and redoing it. So a couple things about that project. It's going to end up being about 170 units in downtown. That will essentially double the population of downtown right now. If you look at the multifamily capabilities, right? Downtown, there's only a few options to get apartments, and there is a waiting list to get on those apartments. As I mentioned, ours is 100% leased up. The Holt has a 6-month waiting list to get into it. The Salt Crossing is constantly booked. So there aren't very many options, and I think bringing 170 more residents downtown is going to help not only the local business, but it's going to help revitalize the heart of Wichita Falls, and that's going to lead to better things, right? That's going to lead to, I remember Henry from the Chamber approached me probably 5 years ago and introduced me to a software company that was considering moving. We drove down to South Lake and I met with that software developer, and his complaint to me was, the downtown's not vibrant, and so they went elsewhere. They didn't bring their software company to Wichita Falls. So I think having a vibrant downtown is really critical to the growth of Wichita Falls, not just the city, not just downtown, but Wichita Falls in its entirety. My focus, because I love the charm of downtown, has been and will continue to be just the downtown area of Wichita Falls. And this project, sorry, I'm rambling on a bit, but this project is really teed up right now. I've got the demo permit, and I've got people in there working on demoing the building. I've got one of the elevators is 99% restored, but I need the funding to continue, and it's been a challenge to get this funding. Tomorrow, Texas National Bank, which is going to be, I mentioned before that Trans-Pecos Bank is the primary lender. They're going to lend on the construction loan and the bridge loan. They cannot lend that amount of money because it is above their ceiling, so they have to have a participant bank. So tomorrow, Texas National Bank is going to meet with their credit committee to either approve or deny this loan. And one of the contingencies on that is that I get a tax abatement from the city and the county. They understand that they cannot get it with regards to the school system. But it's in there, and in fact, I think I included in that packet the letter of intent from the Trans-Pecos Bank, which calls out the requirements. Assuming you're willing to collaborate with me on this, I don't see any reason why tomorrow Texas National Bank will not approve this, and that means in the next 7 to 10 days I will get funding for it, and the project will move forward. I can't move forward without funding. It just, it's not feasible to do that. But again, I do think that it's a win-win. So the way that tax abatement works, the building today is valued at roughly around $400,000. I think it should be in there. If I do nothing, if the loan falls through, if I can't do this, the value will roughly stay the same, right? Because there's no improvement to it. If you help me do this, the value of that building will increase. The value from a tax point will not decrease, it will just increase at a slower rate, if that makes sense. So I think it's a win-win, but I also recognize that this is not what is normal for, incentives that the county commissioners would look at for business in Wichita Falls. So I know it's sort of outside your typical scope.
Well, and Will, how does the abatement that the city has offered, and I'm assuming the county would mirror that abatement, what is happening is 10 years, is it, what's the length of the agreement and how's it structured?
Yeah, and I can't remember if I included that.
It's in there.
In there,
The
but
city's agreement's in there. It's
Yeah.
100% over 10 years.
100% over 10 years. So it ratchets back each year. So again, let's say the value is X, right? That you don't lose that income from the property taxes. It's from there forward, and it's whatever they would assess, and the increase of the valuation will increase at a slower rate. So basically, it's 100% tax abatement, then 90, 80, 70, 60.
Yeah.
10% a year.
So we still get the original valuation.
Still get the original valuation. So there's no, if you say yes, you're not losing any money.
Right.
If you say yes, hopefully this project gets approved tomorrow, and then you see a ratcheted up valuation.
In the documentation, it speaks to MSU using it as dormitories. What's the commitment from them, if any?
Yeah, so I've had, so as part of the historic nature of the deal, I cannot change the configuration of what I call the hotel rooms. And the reason I point that out is because it's an unusual configuration. You have an exterior hallway as opposed to a central hallway. So when you're in the rooms, you're actually looking out through the window, through the hallway, and then through another window to the exterior. So that confused me for a while, and I brought actually down the two people that are in charge of student housing for MSU. I brought them down and said, look, this would work as student housing. This is one of my concerns. They said, are you kidding me? Kids love that. They live for the community. They want, that community. They said the rooms are 2 to 3 times the size of a dorm room on campus. You don't have to share a room in my scenario, and you've got in-suite bathrooms where they're common bathrooms at MSU. So I said, well, I'm thinking about charging, $550 a month, utilities included. And they said, well, we think you're leaving money on the table. We charge $650. You should charge at least $600, but don't compete with us. And then they said they will not sign on to it from a name, ownership, anything like that perspective. But back when Suzanne Shipley was involved, she said, look, we will put in a bus route. We'll sponsor a bus route from the building out to the campus to do this. We want to encourage you to do this.
So that would be a bus route ran by MSU or ran by the city on behalf of MSU?
Run by the city on behalf of MSU. And I think what they do is they contribute a certain amount of money, and then the route can be changed. So the point being that MSU is not willing to sign on to it, but they're willing to encourage it. I don't know how that all changes, because this is 5 years ago when I thought I was going to have the funding, and then the lender bowed out. So things have changed since then. I know MSU's merged with Texas Tech, but if we look at what Texas Tech is trying to do, I mean, if it's similar to what they've done in the past, the student population is going to be expanded, and that only benefits this project. So yes, the target is on the lower floors, 115 hotel rooms will essentially be converted to student housing. The upper floors will be 55 traditional style apartments.
Make sure I'm understanding something right here. If your building's occupied, you're saying that building for sale would bring about $7 million.
Yeah, right around 7.
But cost to redo that building right now, $16 million.
That's what I mean about the funding conundrum. It's just not.
As a businessman, and you're a successful businessman, if you're going to put $16 million into something that's only going to bring you $7 million when it's finished.
Yeah. Part of it is tossing away my initial investment. Part of it is the historic tax credits will make up that gap. And then some of the concessions from the city.
So the abatement itself will make up $9 million? No, that's what I'm trying to figure here.
No, it just is an
Help
incentive to the
offset it.
deal.
Yeah, it's really it's creative financing to try and make this work so that at the end of the day, the cash flow can support the loan that's there. And it's, I have to say, I mean, this is a big gamble for me. I'm not, you know, I know the hotel just got approved, and I'm, you know, I don't have those deep pockets. This is, you know, I have several properties. I've done them all on my own or with a business partner. The city center project was my first recourse loan. I don't know if you know what a recourse loan is, but on commercial properties, if I fail, I fail personally. They can come after everything. This is my second recourse loan. I do not like recourse loans, but it's the only way I can get these projects done in Wichita. So yeah, there's a lot on the line for me at a very personal level on this project.
And I've talked to you before, and I've thanked you for your investment in the community before. Just from a business point of view, it seems sort of sticking your neck out on the line a long ways.
My wife's not happy. Yeah, so, no, for me, this will be a success if I can come out of this with this being redone and I'm breaking even on a cash flow basis. I don't need to be profitable on a cash flow basis. I need to break even on this. That supports the other things that I'm doing downtown. That's going to support a higher occupancy level at Big Blue. It's going to support 713 when I can bring it online. I also own another property that I didn't mention that has a gymnastics school in it right now. So it's part of a larger plan on helping revitalize downtown.
Now, will the 16 take it finished from bottom to top?
Yes.
So you believe that completing the project, you can fully occupy and you'll have enough cash flow in order to pay back the loan with the cash flow with it being occupied?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's struggling as these interest rates keep rising on me. You know, when I started this is the longest loan. Typically, the way commercial lending works is I go to a bank and I say, hey, you know, I want to buy this building for $1 million, and they say we'll loan you $700,000. You come up with $300,000, we can buy this thing. This process is a heck of a lot different. I started this process in September of 2000. I locked in with this lender in May of 2001. That's how long this process has taken to get to this point. And I did something that most developers will tell you they shouldn't do, which is I started investing in it already. I started, you know, I had a plumber pull permits and start to try and redo the plumbing on the lower floors. I pulled the demo permit, started going with the demo permit. I pulled an electrical permit. We got electric restored to the bottom 4 floors. Something that I should not have done that until I had the funding, because now you get to a point where, you know, you expected the funding. Like I said, I signed up with this particular bank, gave me a letter of intent in May of last year. Typically, the process for a commercial loan takes 30, 60, or 90 days, but no longer than that. This has gone on for, you know, a year and a half at this point, and finally gotten to the point where PNC, the federal tax credit buyer, has already gone to their committee. They're ready to close. They're waiting on TransBankers to line up the participant. So yeah, it's definitely it keeps me up at night, right? Because this is a gamble. I mean, what if I can't get the students in there? And what if they don't come down? Okay, well, maybe a fallback is use it as a hotel. That's not my intent. My intent is to I think it would be cool to bring the school downtown and make this, as the Texas Tech folks say, a college town in that standpoint. Have that pride of the local school and whatnot. So that's one of my motivations.
That looks to me to be the key to the success of the program or the project, is have that buy-in from MSU and to direct some of their student body to be down there. So.
Yes.
I think housing, either way, you'd be okay if you can get it going. I mean, even if you had to resort to apartments, but my gist of all this, what I'm seeing, is it's not going to hurt the county either way.
No.
If you do it all and you fail in a year, which I'd hate that to happen, but it's not cost the county any money.
Correct.
So I'm usually pro-business. I'm always pro-business. I think we should not hold our business back, so we got to try.
It's good for our downtown.
I know I saw this somewhere in the paperwork, I can't pull it up right now. What's the current county tax revenue on this property?
470. I think it's 470.
So it'd be about $2,500.
So with potential the valuation going up to 7 million over the 10-year life of the,
And
substantial.
will no TIF help at all on our downtown TIF?
Yeah, they've been, the city's actually been super helpful in terms of collaborating on this project. They had a few stipulations that were put in there by the bank. One was this tax abatement. One was help on the fire suppression system. And then the third one's a little odd. It was help on parking. The banks, so right now the building has 93 parking spaces allotted to it. That's underground parking and the parking lot next door. And the banks don't want to find themselves in a situation where it can't be refinanced because there's not enough parking, right? I've got 170 units and only 93 parking spaces. Now, my answer to that is we probably won't need more because if we're using students, the students don't typically have cars. Some do, some don't. I've spoken with the former head of the international department over at MSU. He wanted to use it all for international students, and the great thing about international students is they don't have cars. So I don't know that we will need parking spaces, but one of the requirements of the bank was that we had access to those spaces, and the city's come to the table and helped me solve that problem. So the city has been extremely helpful.
But we do have a downtown TIF that has money in it, correct, Henry?
But is it in the zone?
It's in the zone, isn't it?
I don't know if it is.
Trevor, Judge, Commissioner. Good morning. Paul Menzies, City of Wichita Falls. Just here in support of the project. Any questions you might have with regards to the city's piece of this, I can answer. The level of scrutiny from the city on this was over the course of about 2 years. There was certainly no rubber stamping of this project. We like to call it, there are two pieces of it. There's a performance agreement with regards to the construction of the facility, which is the fire suppression system. That's $1 million investment by our 4B Sales Tax Corporation. That's sales tax. And then there was the tax abatement, which was, yes, 10 years stair-stepped, and it was just the increment. And so those were the two pieces that the city did. With regard to your question about the tax increment financing zone downtown, there is funding in there, not enough to begin supporting private projects like this. That TIF hasn't grown as quickly as we had anticipated, just because values of properties downtown have not. As you know, and a good example of that would be what Mr. Kelty was talking about. He's going to need to invest $14, $15, $16 million to renovate this building, where the appraised value at the end may be 7 or 8. And so this project is completely upside down, necessitating kind of these very complicated financing structure, from his own money to several banks stepping in to these public-private partnerships between city, county that we're considering to make that work. With regards to your specific question about TIF, it just hasn't grown at a rate where there's enough value in there to start considering funding for these types of projects.
What is the balance for?
I don't know off the top of my head. I do know that a couple of years ago, the board loosely dedicated about 70% of the revenue towards infrastructure projects in the downtown, not necessarily private. So even whatever amount of money there is in there, whether it's $1 million, $2 million, 70% of that is already dedicated towards infrastructure, and then 30% would be for other things. They haven't really talked about that board committing funding towards private projects as of yet.
Which tip number is that? 3, is that right? Or is it
The downtown tip?
4? Thank you, Jim.
Why the Kate?
Yeah, so it's officially called the Patrol Room.
Right, that's why I asked.
The historic nature of the building, but the original building that was there was called the Camp. And so I was trying to play off that a little bit, and so I actually designed a logo to, Tony Fideli had a glass with the original logo on it of the Camp, and so I played around with that, and that's how I came up with sort of the K, same letter pattern, same logos, just over the history.
You couldn't use the Annette, your wife's name, I don't think.
Yes, it took too long for Annette.
Well, that wasn't what I was thinking, but what you said earlier. Okay.
Only after.
The Kate at the Kent, formerly known as the Petroleum Building.
Yeah,
Got it.
Mr. Forsham, do you have anything to?
Henry Flores from Wichita Falls Chamber. I'm here on support of the project. Will showed up at a time where people weren't investing the type of money in the buildings downtown that he invested. And he had a vision that few people had. And so those office towers in that former hotel, the biggest projects, right? And not just anybody could take that on. So you fast forward to now, and look what he's done with the other projects. And then all the work that he's put into this, heavy lifting done by Paul City and Jana with downtown development, and then you combine that with all the other things that are going on downtown, this is a transformational project. Bringing that many more residents that live there, they are living there. They're going to be spending money at the restaurants and the stores and create more of a demand for more stuff, for more amenities, and they're going to increase the value, not only of that property, but of the properties around it as well. And so you add that to the fact that I think Commissioner Beecham mentioned that this is very low risk for the county because your tax base is already set anyway, so it can only grow from here.
Yeah, you hit on exactly, my concern is there's not enough support for that facility for that many new residents down there. There's not even a convenience store downtown. So that would spark additional
Sure, and the
development.
thing is,
if it's fully occupied.
when you look at retail development like that, the rooftops drive the other services, and so those businesses won't come until there's enough critical mass of people there, and that's the type of thing that this sort of project could provide. If you look at every other residential development downtown, they're full or 99% full, and they don't have you stay on a waiting list for a while. And so we need more residential development downtown. This would transform that corner, which is one of the most visible corners in downtown. And it would just be, not only help downtown, we're interested in it because of what that does for the entire community, the entire region.
Well, with no downside to Wichita County, I would make the motion that we approve the.
Before you do that, listen, if you're going to make the motion, we need to look, because this does not fit. This is going to take an exception to our policy. And we are due to review that policy also. What we need to look at is where we think that structure would be on this. So what we might do today, and Will, tell me how this reacts to you, if the court would approve that we are going to do abatement, and our cap right now on abatements is 70%, and I thought I had that document with me. Tracy, I don't know whether you have it pulled up or not, but that we would we have a 70% abatement schedule, and we do that over the period of years in our schedule, but that today we would adopt that and look at this and then come back and finalize the exact schedule, which is different than the city schedule. But we had told the city when we were revising this a couple of years ago that we would honor anything we'd gone into with them before, which i.e. was the new hotel for downtown. That was the last one left on the list.
And the 70% though, Judge, is a different format of abatement than what Will's project is kind of unique to that schedule. Like, say somebody's going to come and build something from scratch and we gave them a 10-year abatement, it would be 0, 90, 80, but in this instance, we hold the value. So we're getting paid the tax off 100% off the value.
But that's true in anything. There's some existing value to whatever we start with. It's whether we go 10 years or 7 years or what the scale is on that.
Well, but what I'm trying to understand is the 70%.
Well, that's what's in your document now that you voted on.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is that Will's giving us 100% of the tax value of that property, and it'll never decrease from 100%. It only is going past that point. So when Will gets a renovation done and it's now worth $700,000, he's only paying at first year 0 on that $300,000 addition, but he's paying 100% on his value of the property.
But that's true on every one of them we do.
That's, no.
They're all that way.
No, they're not all that way. For example, McDonald's in Iowa Park, and the county matched that abatement. That was abated for 10 years, and the first year, they don't pay anything to
They
the
paid on
county.
the property value. They paid on the base land value that was there before they started new construction.
Just 70%, or?
No, 100% on the, you can't abate what's existing on the tax roll. You can only abate new value.
I misunderstood then. So I thought that but that in essence is, I still don't understand 70%.
Well, that's what we approved in our document.
I understand, but I don't understand what is meant by abating 70%.
Well, you would take it, you do a scale, or let's say you did it over 7 years, 70, 60, 40, 50, 40 on down till you got to 0 tax abatement.
I think for the discussion, Judge, when we talked about that, was we were wanting to get these things done a little quicker than
Yes,
10
sir.
years.
That was the effort.
Because the 10 years is just a long commitment, but that was our main deal. But yes, Jeff, I remember specifically on what we were talking about. You kept the base land value, whatever it was, and that continued, and then you started to add the value of the improvement.
Yeah.
At what, a 10%, I guess, per year
Yeah.
deal. I don't know. It's so this is obviously one of those situations where you can't go do this project and turn around and put it on the market and sell it. You've got to operate it. That's the only thing that makes it work. And which is true of a lot of things, unless you're in a just tremendously red hot real estate, value, which I guess is going on in places, but not necessarily across the way here.
Tracy, what day did you sent an email in reference to what is covered on our abatement in reference to this project? What date was that email? I was wanting to go back and read it because it didn't fit our criteria because of that email. Is that because of housing?
Yes.
Yes.
If I remember correctly? Okay, I couldn't find the email. I'm just doing it from memory.
In addition to that, the number of jobs created, and then also the return into the community of sales tax revenue. But those are all the factors that you all
But
considered in.
What day did you send that email? Do you know? I can't find it when I searched it.
But I don't understand actually how the county comes into play necessarily, because we committed ourselves to the TIF for whatever period of time. We're not going to receive any tax above the base value for the life of that TIF.
If it's in the TIF.
If it's in the TIF. So whatever we decide is irrelevant. It's only relevant to the TIF.
Well, but it's relevant to him because he's going to pay it. It's just going to go in the TIF fund.
I know, but who has the ability to reduce the money inside the TIF? Who has the...
There's a TIF board. You serve on one of those.
I serve on that
Barry
board.
serves on one of them.
But it seems like it's locked in, both city and county, to the TIF for that, everything that rises above the level that the Kate was initially appraised at is going to be within inside that.
Does that,
Thank
Judge, does
you send it to everyone?
that TIF contribution?
It wouldn't make us any more money.
No, I don't think.
point of order?
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the
Never thought
answer
of
to
that,
that.
as a matter of fact.
But okay, number one, do we know that's in the TIF?
That's the first thing we need to find out, I think.
Paul, do you know for sure how that works?
I can give you my opinion, but I'm not.
She just resent it.
Well, didn't the TIF kind of follow the railroad track, that downtown deal, Jeff? and
I
then
thought
branch
so.
out
I thought
to
so.
either side, I'm trying to remember the map.
I just don't know
I
how
didn't
far
think
this
it
way
came
to go.
that
I
side of
didn't
Scott.
think it came this far, I don't know. To me, it kind of centered on that railroad track, it went both directions, kind of through town.
But Will, I certainly support the getting what the dynamic we
Thursday,
need
the
to do,
26th.
what we need to do here, and if the TIF can participate or is involved, I certainly would be pro doing whatever we can do to.
Well, that project has got the ability, because of the amount of space you're talking about, to make or break the whole growth of that downtown deal. I mean, that's a key component. Because, Henry, you've always talked about, we get into that chicken and egg discussion, which comes first, the people or the businesses? Well, you can't, people don't want to be there if you don't have businesses. Businesses won't come if you don't have the people. But that begins to answer the questions on that component.
I don't see how we
And
approve.
it would be great on the TIF board that the way that 70% versus 30% works that Paul spoke of is that they anticipate the revenue for a period of time and then take that 70% of that income and then borrow for a future and make those payments with the 70% income, which is derived from everything over the base tax that the TIF was set at. So if the TIF, when it was created, generated $1 million, and today it generates $1.5 million, that $500,000, 70% of it can go to fund the infrastructure note that the city pulled or the TIF board pulled in that regard, and 30% of it could then go to business entities that had some form of interest in developing the TIF even further. And so it'd be great if that 30% could even be in the form of credits of some sort, or equity, or backing that they allocate towards those kind of projects. Not necessarily just here's the money, but we stand good for X amount of money. And
Paul, you made a comment a while ago that a good portion of that TIF funding, 70% of it, whatever it's on, that infrastructure stuff, is that 70% of what's coming, or is that money already been realized? Both. Yeah.
Existing income.
It had not generated that much, so that's kind of what cash we've got plus a commitment. Okay, that makes a difference.
And that they make a projection, Barry, out into what they anticipate that tax to do.
Well, you want to do something to help an entrepreneur that wants to come into your community and do something. This is, the private sector comes to town and builds something. That has value, tremendous value. The federal government doesn't have to come in and do it, or the state government, or whatever. There's value in it.
Sure. And we as an entity, county-wise, are only hurt by the building not being improved. It's not going to increase in value just sitting there at all. It's going to go the other way. And so we could lose on that.
Well, I think we've got interest in trying to do something to help the project. I think the question is, what can we do?
Well,
do we need to research that?
Well, I think one of the key things we probably need to do is, if we're going to approve this, that we give the approval today that this will be abated. so that you got to answer that question tomorrow in that loan meeting, don't you? Okay, so if this is what the court desires to do, is to do that, then we need to get that. Then let's work out the details and take action to approve the final agreement on that. But I think and we can say of what percent. If we're going to follow our 70% abatement, then we will stay within that, which is what I would certainly, if we're going to do it, I would rather us continue that. But I think that would give you something better than you have right now to go on. If we could say that will be considered at the 70% level. And then work out the details, but it's all a bet on the come, no matter how you do it. And so whether it's going to go into the TIF, then it would be helping further development downtown, which certainly isn't a bad idea to do that.
Question, Tracy, on this paragraph that you sent us, it's paragraph 2, but section 7, but what's that out of? What document?
That is out of the Wichita County policy statement, tax statements.
Okay.
Our own policy statement.
And based on what you just heard the judge say, so we would have to go in and amend that whole policy?
No.
Well, we don't have to amend the policy.
Okay.
This document clearly says multiple times
Okay.
that it is subject
Okay.
to whatever you all are going to do.
Gonna do, okay.
In terms of the policy, the only things that you all cannot do is not abate interest in sinking the special road and bridge or any fund that is dedicated. So, but
Okay.
other than that, this is your policy. You follow it or you don't follow it.
Yeah, we tend to not follow a lot.
One thing I want to ask, so we've been working with the city on this project for how long? 2 years? And we get it 11th hour? It would have been nice to have worked through this project all alongside the city, so we kind of know what we're up against. So we wouldn't have these last minute questions that we're even trying to go against our own policy.
And I have to take responsibility for that one. I didn't approach the county because I didn't know if the city was going to be behind it. And until I got the approval that the city was going to go for it, because my ask of the city was a lot larger.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they finally did approve that, then that's when I approached Judge Council.
Okay.
So I apologize. I probably should.
I bet you can't find, Tracy, a single thing about abating a property that's already abated in a TIF. I bet it doesn't exist.
I just want to see about that.
Because whatever we do doesn't matter to us. I mean, we don't improve our tax rate until the TIF is expired. And that TIF is not tremendously old. I mean, it was developed and I was appointed to it when it created, so maybe 17 or 18.
I think the key point, though, right now is, do you want to take the action or not?
Yes, I think we should take action to let Will be able to move forward with the court will participate in the abatement that it develops.
How do we need to word that motion?
Yeah.
And
if you're going to keep it at the 70%, that's going to be
Well, 70% is irrelevant to us because your times in the TIF is going to be far longer than
It's in the TIF. You don't know. I just sent a text, I sent an email to Lisa and Paul over at the appraisal district asking them to see if they can let us know that.
it's going to be in the heart of the TIF, I would imagine.
It is. It's in the test.
It is in the TIF?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And when is that TIF expire? Is it a 20-year TIF, right?
I'm not sure. I have to check.
Generally those are, but I don't know when it started to.
The action of the TIF, who approves the action of the TIF once it's like 4B and 4A and they make their actions and the council approves that, but how does a TIF work like that? I mean, is somebody approving the actions of a TIF board?
If there's an expenditure of money, absolutely. That's the council.
I think the answer to this today is we vote that we will participate in an abatement. Then we get with the appraisal district and, you know, maybe this in the city and talk about the length of this or how to work.
Okay.
Either way, it is building forward. Eventually, it will all go on the tax rolls. But there's no loss in bottom line to the Wright County.
And Will, so you understand what Tracy mentioned about road and bridge and the interest in sinking is that our tax rate is made up of those three parts. So right now, it's 61 cents per $100 worth of evaluation. But in road and bridge, we have 4 pennies of that 61 by law can only be spent on county road maintenance by law, and 4 cents of that 61 belongs to road and bridge. And right now in the county, about a little over 7 cents also of that 61 belongs to pay our banker the bank note that for our $70 million jails and plus a few small things that will expire quickly. But 7 and 4 roll into that 61 cents. So they can't be abated, the 7 cents and the 4 cents. But the maintenance and operating, the lion's share of that is abated. So I don't know how all this rolls up into the TIF funding or the TIF increment finance that your property belongs to, because it right now really, well, did we change that, Judge? We're not paying that into the TIF.
No, we don't pay that into the TIF.
So, but anyway, that's the explanation for road and bridge and interest in sinking not being a part of the abated amount of tax dollar, because we've already got those pieces allocated to go to someone else.
But before we went back through that, we were actually paying into the TIF and then taking other money out of general funds to make that up. And that's contrary to how it should have been done. But we didn't ask anybody to pay us back what we paid in. So, but that is in all of our agreements, that's excluded. That those two funds. Okay, if there's a motion to be made, it'd be that we will approve the abatement for the Cape project and up to the 70% we have, or up to whatever level you all want to set it.
I'll renew that motion to approve the abatement with details to be determined after
I'll second it.
negotiations.
Second.
So you didn't say anything about the amount of abatement, right?
No, I said with details to be determined after negotiations.
And finalize agreement for court approval.
I'll second the motion.
I think he already got you.
Okay. And Henry, there's a lady by the name of Debbie Wheeler, recently retired from Fideli's group, Purdue Brandon. She was the state's foremost expert on, and that's not saying a whole lot, she'd tell you, on TIF, because of the laxness of the way the law was written concerning it. But she would have a good idea, had this opportunity been encountered before, but Tony could hook you up with somebody like, or Debbie, to maybe get some insight as to how this works.
Thank you. I'm going to defer to these two because Janet and Paul have been the ones working on this
Sure.
project. Thank you.
Any other comments, anyone on the phone or in the audience? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Beecham, second by Commissioner Fincannon to approve the abatement and finish the agreement and finalize the agreement for court approval in the next 2 weeks. Is that, Tracy, is that going to push that too much from 2 weeks too soon? Well, we're not, unless they come back with something unusual, let's just leave it, we'll get it done, we'll get this worked out, but you are approved for the abatement. If they say, well, how much? You can say their agreement, their policy says 70% over a period of years, but we're looking at that. So I think it's still open, but I think you say you're that good. Other than those 2 other funds, those taxes will be paid at full value.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I think that will get us over the hurdle.
Okay.
Thank y'all and good
Okay.
luck. Will.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you all for your patience in this. Look forward to that moving along.
I need to visit with you about some of your tenants on your Indiana property. So, sidebar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to, Will, no slight to you all, but I'm going to move down to the item that I think the judges were here about. Thank you all again.
Thank y'all.
We'll move down to item number 5, discuss, consider, or take action to approve bids from Visionality for the upgrade in the courtrooms technology to be paid from ARPA funds as determined by the county auditor. Commissioner Beecham.
Yes, Judge. Over the last better than a year, we've been developing this project with Visionality to look at upgrading all the technology within our building, courtrooms in particular, but this courtroom as well as all 3 of the district judges, the 2 county court judges, and the 2 JP offices in this building, as well as bring in some technology to address election concerns, the videoing and storage of election activities. So what we have here is the final version of what we've all discussed. The judges have had a chance to look over their portion of it and make their changes and add the things that they feel like was necessary to operate their courtrooms efficiently and modernly. I do have Jack, should be on the phone. He can answer any details. I will say what it will do for our courtroom will be totally automated. What it will automate the phone system and everything when we're on Commissioner's Court. We have a year of basically editing and publishing our Commissioner's Court to all of our different websites from off-site. Everything will be controlled off-site. We'll just flip the switch and say go. They'll operate the cameras, they'll title the meetings, they'll index the meetings. We just turn the system on for them. That's part of the bid in our courtroom. So the problem we have right now with our mics being across the phone, you can't hear, everything will go into the system and go out to our desktop microphones. We won't use the lapels anymore. We'll use desktop microphones.
Does this get us everything in our courts that we need? I mean, this is 100% vested in what we wanted to have. We're not leaving out some.
We did go look at Denton, which this company has sold the equipment and their courts. And it is, having worked on similar quotes for the last 10 years for the courts, it is, we think, everything that we need to be able to operate with the technology in the courtroom that we need for life.
See, it gets us where we want to be.
Yes.
And then when we build the new courtrooms, hopefully, will much of this be old equipment? Of course, depending on how long that is, it might have reached the end of life by that time.
Well, the courtrooms that we will phase out, we could move the equipment if necessary, or there is a contingency fee on the courtrooms. There's a 10% contingency on both ours and the courtrooms to make any modifications as we move along with the building construction.
Guys, I am on the phone. I'm having a hard time hearing.
Can't hear you on the phone.
It shores up.
Well, that's exactly why we had you here, Jack. Because we can't hear you either.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't said anything until now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually heard the last conversation you were having, but since God with this, I'm hearing, like, I'll hear a few words, and this. So I have a hard time, so making sure I get any questions that get asked.
Jack, one of the questions I had, we've got to comply with fairly strict purchasing rules, and you all are through one of the cooperative bidding associations, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Our state and yes,
Say that again, please.
we are on the EIR for the state of Texas, Department of Information Resources.
Right.
The MCAT.
Okay, all right.
Here's the handbill.
The handbill?
Yeah, I'm going to put it up on the phone so we can hear.
I do have a question about the estimate. And you said something here that, you said that includes titling.
Speak up, he can't.
This bid's supposed to include titling over commissioners' courts, the heading. Is this a monthly ongoing service that you're going to be doing, or is there some kind of service fee in here besides equipment?
All your meetings, have everything on the web. You don't have, you guys won't have to do anything. Mark said y'all were having trouble having to re-sign or retrain secretaries every time you got a new secretary or something like that. You know, I suggested to. I think he
to that speaker right side.
you guys talk directly to the company that's doing it. And of course, we will provide the setup for it, along with our stuff, but the service is through them. And
Yeah, this includes 1 year of that service, though, correct?
Then
How much is it?
the reason I'm asking is that it's not, nothing broke out on here. This just shows equipment. So what is the service part of it? I didn't, and the follow-up stuff, I couldn't understand it. So.
yeah, the price that's on there, that's on the quote is actually for 1 year of service.
Yeah, Jack, that was that same question I asked you last week to give me the breakdown of the Swaggart proposal, and I don't think I've ever received that.
Okay.
Because we show it as the list price for the Swaggit recording and streaming package at $57,841.76, and that's equipment and 1 year of publishing. But what is the publishing after the 1 year?
Yeah, basically, the silver service that you see and 1 year content delivery package, that basically covers us taking care of all of the service, and this also includes your Swaggit subscription.
Still didn't answer my question.
Kind of right at the bottom of the quote.
Yeah, but we don't know what the cost for Swaggit is going forward after year 1.
Yeah, I know Richard was supposed to get it to me, and I'm looking to check my email to see if he ever sent it to me.
Okay.
Hey,
I will make sure we get that to you.
there's got to be something else to this. That's $1,000 a week.
Well, yeah, they actually operate the cameras.
Well, yeah, so does MGM. And I'm not paying for a movie. I mean, Jack, that's a little out of sight in my book.
Correct. That's why I'm asking.
They basically have, and I'll explain it the best. I know it, I've actually never really seen it, but they basically take away all the operation of your cameras, your sound stuff that is needed for the recording side of things. They provide the website and links and everything, all your recorded court meetings will be put on, and I think that, of course, Mark's the one that had the discussion with them, and told them how many meetings a year y'all did, and I think that's actually supposed to include any meetings you had, not just the regular commissioners' court meetings, but anything that needs to be recorded. So it's based on their discussion with Mark, and I was not part of that discussion, so I don't know exactly what that's for.
Brendan and I sat in on that discussion, and we were never given any follow-up information from Swaggit or you on what the monthly cost is, or what it is going to be going forward with Swaggit.
Yeah, and I'll get you that information. I don't seem to have it right here, but I'll get back with Richard and find out where it is, because he was supposed to give it to me.
Okay, I have another question. That's talking about service fees on the Commissioner's Court. Is there any other kind of service fees on any of the other upgrades or equipment or courtrooms? Any monthly service, monthly, yearly?
We provide that silver service level on everything. It comes on every quote we do.
And we don't.
Basically, once we get it in there, the product warranty covers the product itself. No labor, no extra for coming in to take care of everything, make sure that you have everything properly. If you have and
Well, right now, it seems like your estimate's a little bit incomplete then if we don't have that information and the commissioners ask you for it and we still don't have it.
what's that?
In looking over the quote for this courtroom, and I started on it because I'm more familiar with it than I am the other courtrooms, I don't see a quote in here for any cameras. Are we going to use existing cameras? There's all kinds of video input, or all kinds of video inputs, audio inputs, but I find no cameras involved in this.
Okay, if you look at just before you get to the bottom, the Swaggit recording and streaming package includes all the cameras, all the equipment that is needed to
We don't have that.
I don't see that.
I see what you're saying, but I don't see a breakdown of that.
Yeah, that's what we're missing, Jack, is the breakdown of what is included on that item, Swaggart recording and streaming package for 57,841.76. I understand it's the cameras at all and 1 year of hosting, but we don't have that breakdown.
What I'd also like to know is what level of is it going to take to operate this system? I mean, you're gonna have a director in the booth to take care of all this, or are you gonna do it from a panel here?
No,
Judge, or-
it's done remote, and I'm concerned about the flexibility of that.
That's one of the things that made this project, you know, when Mark was telling me that, you know, every time that y'all get a new secretary, somebody has to relearn the whole system that you have. You know, I told him about Swaggart. I said, you know, they will take care of all that for you. And that's not something we offer. You know, this is a third-party company that's been very successful at it. They work for a lot of the counties in Texas and cities, of course. And from what I understand, they've been pretty successful, and the ones that use them really like them. It is, you know, it's not necessarily a cheap thing. When you figure the cost of employees to run it, you know, if they're doing it, that's what they're providing, is employees to run the system for you to make sure you don't have any problems with it. And the equipment used to get it all put together, their package.
$1,000 a week is pretty high.
We're basically going to upgrade all the AV in the commissioners court. They're going to, then we're going to install their package so they can basically add the controls to the system and basically be the director and the camera operators and everything you need.
The index title, publish everything, but I don't know what the cost is.
He can't hear you.
Yeah, you're gonna speak way up.
They index title and publish all of our meetings, but I don't know what that cost annually is. The 20,000 estimate seems right, is what we had discussed, but I don't have it in writing.
Is there any way to separate out the commissioner's court package and go ahead and move forward on the rest of this?
Sure.
Because that one, that kind of blew my mind when I saw that number for it. But go ahead and,
We can do that.
Jack, did you hear me? We need to get some clarification on the commissioner's court package, but can we move ahead without any problem on the other courts?
They're broken down.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I sent those folks all separately. You can sign off on any or all of them, however y'all want to do it.
Okay.
So let's do that then.
So I'd make the motion, we approve the JP upgrades at 35,723.09, election office upgrades at 27,320.34, and the 5 courtrooms at 314,948.43. And we'll revisit the commissioner's courtroom when we have more information.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any comments by anyone in the audience or on the phone?
I have a quick question.
Yes,
On
sir.
the elections office upgrade, is that doing anything for video in our room here?
It puts video in 6 rooms, Jack? Is that what we had?
Elections office upgrade, Jack.
What about it?
Where does it improve our, where does it put video at for our opening mail-in ballots?
Okay, the understanding I have is I guess the state put a requirement that any county over 100,000 has to record
Yes, sir.
what's happening with ballots, wherever they're happening. I talked to Mark, and I have 4 rooms.
Is it 4? I thought it,
Are either kept or counted, and we're gonna put cameras, put it, kind of like a security type system, network security type system that will, provide a recording of everything that goes on in those rooms.
it's,
Is that
Six.
one camera a room?
Well, 2 in the clerk's office, and then
The warehouse area is a bigger room, and to be perfectly honest, that's the day I was there, we didn't get a chance to go out and look at it, so I don't know exactly how. So that's a couple extra cameras to make sure that we have plenty of view of everything. I think the other rooms that we looked at, that once they're in the courthouse, can probably be managed with 1 camera.
Okay.
But I'll put a couple extras for the warehouse, make sure that we can get a good view of everything.
Yeah.
To get that coverage, I would.
Well, they're gonna set that room, but we've got to be conscious of have a room set with that. Okay.
All right, we had a motion and a second. We're good.
Any other comments, anyone? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Beecham, a second by Commissioner Watts to approve moving forward on the projects in the JP courtrooms, the elections office upgrade, and the 5 other courtrooms. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 5-0. Okay, thank you all for being here.
Jack, you still on there?
Jack.
Okay, I want to come get you the breakdown.
Is it-
Know what to do, where to go, okay?
Okay, is it David Owasu that I need to be visiting with at Swagit? That's the only contact I have for Swagit.
Okay, David?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I think Richard can get me a breakdown of.
Okay.
He was supposed to do that, I asked him for it last week, but I think it's kind of late last week, so, I've already messaged him to see where we're at on that breakdown, so.
Okay.
I'll get it to you as fast as I get it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anything else I need from me?
No, sir, thank you.
All right.
All right. Yeah, we'll go back to item number 3, is discuss here take action on filling 1 full-time temporary position in the sheriff's office. This will be funded from position 409.01 in the 2022 budget for temporary staffing. This position is necessary to allow the cross-training of a position that will be vacated at the end of 2022. Cost of this position should not exceed $20,000. Chief Repair, I think was this yours?
Yes, sir. Robin Huff's leaving. I've sent y'all each an email about it, and she's got just a wealth of knowledge about civil. She probably knows more about it than a lot of police officers. And there's a lot we can get in trouble for in the sheriff's office if the P's and Q's aren't being watched. And we already have a young lady who's shown an acumen for that. So she's interested. We want to put her over there and just give her as much learning as she can before Robin leaves. Unfortunately, she's currently one of our receptionists, and that's too big of a job for one person.
Yeah.
Right now, the receptionists are also helping the visitation person take care of visitation whenever they have to go on break. So one person can't run that whole room by themselves. So it's necessary that we have 2 up there. And we would be remiss if we didn't get somebody over there working with her on a daily basis. With Robin, I'm sorry, working with her on a daily basis and just absorbing as much as they can before she moves us.
Okay, and this was moving, I think you said in your email, moving Jamie to take Robin Huff's place.
Kelsey, no, sir. Kelsey Newton would be the one that moves to.
Kelsey, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because I knew Robin has a different married name than she's been Huff to me forever.
It's Robin Huff.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you got 3 Robins too. That was,
Yeah, we have 3 Robins.
shouldn't allow that.
And it may be the, it may not be the 409, 401, it'd be the 409 material position to allow the court.
Okay. It's one of the jail positions that we,
We have the 10, but remember we use, I think, 1, 2, 3. We use 1 and 2 for courthouse security. When we get the 3rd position covers that salary, so it'd probably be like 409.4.
okay. Any other questions?
Motion approved.
Second.
Trying to capture some of that experience.
30 years is kind of hard.
It's vital. It really is.
Okay, I'm putting this to approve from jailer position in 409.
So, let's, just for understanding, will this be a county employee, or will this be from a temp service?
We'll be a county employee. What we would like to move into, once Robin Hunt officially retired, we'll move Kelsey officially into that position number, and the person we hire will move into the position number and receptionist position number. So who are we paying for that, like, we're going to be? No, we can go through hiring services if you want us to.
Well, the cost should not exceed 20,000. That's salary only or salary benefits?
I don't, what she's getting paid, I don't foresee salary and benefits going over 20,000.
Why don't we just leave that figure out of that, so we don't have that broken down, we don't have to come back and amend that court order, that we'll approve that position out of 409 from one of the jailer positions. Okay. Now, are we going to carry that over into 2023 or not? Okay.
No. Retired at the end of 2022.
Okay, because, yeah.
And then she go back into those 2 original.
Okay, she needs to have vacation and everything done by December 31st.
Okay.
Okay. Have a motion by Commissioner Mahler, second by Commissioner Watts to approve the agenda to take a position from one of the jailer positions in 409 to allow an additional clerk to be added to the receptionist's office. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Now, we're finally going to get to the one we've been waiting for.
Oh, yeah.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, discuss, consider, take action to review Mayfield Paper Company's bid price change for toilet tissue. Is this institutional grade toilet or regular toilet paper?
I didn't know anything about this.
Really?
It's expensive toilet paper.
You have a request from Mayfield, states due to market changes, supply chain issues, skyrocketing fuel prices, we can no longer honor our bid pricing on paper products. Going forward, we are forced to only guarantee pricing on a month-by-month basis. So essentially, they are saying they cannot honor the bid. So your options are to accept their price increases or
Rebid.
I don't know how you can make them perform if they have to deliver the laws all over. Unfortunately, they did not condition their bid, so it was a fixed price bid. But the price increases are for the 96 count, 2-ply, 500 sheets per roll toilet tissue, going from $27.40 to $38.99. That's 42.3% increase.
Well, it's not as strong as the furniture increase from Hudson.
Jumbo toilet tissue, 9-inch times 1,000 2-ply toilet tissue, 21.40 to 25.92 cents, which is a 21.1% increase. So
What would be wrong with rebidding it, Willie, with,
well, that's an option since they're saying they can't comply with their bid. But you could go to spot purchases and rebid to the remainder of the year. I don't know if you do any better because
We've made exceptions with
things
other
have
products.
changed. I don't know what's going on. It's hard.
We've made exceptions with other products with notice, but that's a
It does have
considerable
an effect,
increase.
especially on the sheriff's department, which is a major
Yeah.
user of this product.
Yes, normally we order 300 cases, is that right? At a time?
and those are 100 count rolls, roughly 96? Okay, so when you order your 300 times 100?
I don't know, I just like 48 rolls or 96 rolls on there.
I did that right, that's now 30%.
Increase in price.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would be interesting to know what else exists out there, in my mind.
It's not going to hurt to rebid it. They've already gave you a price. That's what their new bid's going to be probably, so
Well, but I think you're going to find everybody's going to.
they're all going to be the same.
They're all going to have escalation contingencies.
But, you know, I can understand, like I told Willie, the recyclable market's kind of fallen off the grid. So the cost of their material has went down, and I know fuel is up, so to make it in all aspects, it costs them more, but that's a significant increase.
Well, you get to the point, and we just said it a while ago, well, they're all going to be higher. See, we're getting taken on a bunch of this stuff.
That's
Everybody
outside of
expects
inflation.
everything, to be higher, so it is, I don't know.
That's outside of inflation, well outside of inflation. I'd say we bid it again.
Well, I think we bid it again, but you got to tell them something because we don't want to run out of toilet paper.
Well, I guess we order here till we get a new bid in. I mean, that's all we can do.
Yeah.
We can accept.
And like Willie said, I hate
accept their
to
changes and
force
put it
them
out for
to
bid.
what they think is their loss, but I reckon we can negotiate a temporary price with them and cut down. I mean, that's what they're asking, but what would they take?
Well,
What they said.
you want to cut it, decide to get it down to half? Who's going to call it? Willie got a negotiation with them, or?
Well, we're getting the Jumbo Junior. We don't have the John Wayne. I mean, there's only two listed, I guess, right?
Yes, they're different products. One is the roll tissue, like you use at home, and the jumbo that goes in the container.
Oh, okay.
So they're different products.
And do we use those big rolls? Is that what?
In the bathrooms in the LEC, we don't supposed to use those,
All, okay.
but the gel is all single row. Well, there may be an exception for a couple of the option bathrooms in the hallway for the gel, but the inmates need single rows.
I suppose you go to spot purchases while you're putting out a bid.
What's our supply look like right now?
And just send a text requesting that information.
You don't know that off the top of your head, Will?
I'm sorry, they're not.
I thought you had that.
I guess somebody can tell me.
You know who to call, though, that's just it.
And their price increase, they want to start immediately, or is there a date on that?
Well, it's immediate.
The one that feels cooling off a little, get it, Jeff.
Yeah.
Red.
Right.
That'd be a byproduct.
Yeah, and like I telling Willie, like cardboard, bale where they melt it down and create paper, all of that's really bringing nothing right now.
So can we accept the price increase and then rebid for future purchases?
I'll second.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I said.
Let's accept the price increase for current purchases and rebid.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Beecham, a second by Commissioner Fincannon to accept the price increase and rebid the product. Any comments by anyone else? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, we've already taken action on item 5. 6, discuss or take action to determine a burn ban is necessary based on the current Keachbauer index level and weather conditions in Wichita County. I don't think I have that.
We got it this morning.
Index doesn't qualify, conditions absolutely do qualify, but I don't know if you're going to need to do it.
We did have an improvement in conditions this week, so.
Yeah, and we've got a chance for some more, but I wouldn't bet any money on it.
We'll just
So, no
revisit
action
next
then?
week. No action.
We'll know more next week,
Yeah.
but continue to be cautious. On that.
But I have saw quite a bit of brush pile type, burn going on that we've been able to, accommodate, so.
And once again, the fire chiefs, I think one of the most important things is, with all three of them, I've talked to all of them, talked to you, they've not had a fire where somebody's burn got out of hand.
Quit saying that, though.
Well, I know. Trust me, I was outside all day,
Or just laying around. No, that wasn't yesterday, it was the other day. Okay. Commissioner Beecham, update on courthouse renovations, elevator projects, and county courthouse annex.
Projects are continuing on. You can see they've got the sidewalk tore out at the annex. Working on getting that replaced. Still building drywall here at the courthouse. Going up, building a second floor elevator shaft. That should be complete this week, and they'll move up to the third floor. Now that they've got that process started, it's going a lot faster than what they had previously. We've used all of our contingency as we approved that major change last week, so we do have a few items that will be coming up before the court in the future to address. So, but all in all, I still think we're well below our original targeted budget of $6 million. We're still well below that. So, but with all the problems and things that we've encountered in this building to this point, I think we're doing really well. And the scope changes that we have added. So.
On that, like with the contingency, and something I thought of, Bob, I don't know where I see in our report, when you give us, and we see permanent improvement, if there's liquid dollars, non-invested permanent improvement, where will those show up, just general fund dollars?
No, those, my report
shows you exactly permanent improvement dollars.
But only what's investment in permanent improvement, right? Is there such a thing as liquid permanent improvement?
No.
Not really.
There's no dollars invested in permanent improvements anyway. Everything is cash because predetermined use of the money
Okay.
this year.
So there's not money that inflates general fund that belong to permanent improvement dollars. What I see in
Permanent is permanent improvements, the 401 account is a sub-account of the 100 account, which is the general fund.
Okay. Okay.
When I first came on board, I broke that out so that we'd have a little better understanding.
Okay.
Invested it so that we'd have some interest
Okay.
incurred. But the auditor's office is still plugging in 401 as a sub-account. as
Of the
there
general
are
fund.
Approximately 30 other accounts.
Okay.
And I visit with Matt pretty regularly on where we stand to make sure we're not getting out of line. And I'll visit with him back the first of the month, and
But, I mean, we're setting on ARPA monies.
we
that-
are.
Bob, will you move any of that? Will that ever make its way into permanent 401 versus ARPA? Are you going to
ARPA?
track it just as ARPA?
It has to be tracked as
We
ARPA.
qualify our permanent improvements in ARPA, not anything I've read or been.
Well, some of the components here at the courthouse are ARPA, the things that we're doing in
Those will
the,
be paid right out of the ARPA account.
Right, right.
but that's for
Okay.
the auditor to determine
Okay.
which of those items are ARPA qualifying. So there are several items within this courthouse project alone that are ARPA.
But when I see 401 and we've allocated a penny of the tax revenue to 401, it's already receiving that allocation. It doesn't happen later. It happens every week, I guess. As you receive tax revenue, it would fall into that category?
When I get that paperwork from Tommy, it has every dime
Broken out?
noted down with the account.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
No, sir.
Sure. Just smiling at a number of good veterans activities, well attended over the weekend, and do appreciate everyone coming and remembering what the day was for, was to recognize the ultimate sacrifice given by service personnel. Okay, it is now.
Judge,
Yes.
Liam has a guest. I was interested in his guest.
This is Cecil Witherspoon. Cecil is a junior out of MSU, and he is going to be our summer intern at Lions River News.
Hey, cool.
So, he's here kind of learning the ropes, and it's exhilarating, isn't it? Yeah.
Fun
Good.
stuff this morning.
By the way, about 30 minutes ago, Will Kelty officially got his state historical designation, as did Indiana Avenue.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Great.
All right.
Awesome.
Great.
I'll expect a feature story on this toilet paper pricing.
We're going to get it.
Okay.
I'm going to let Cecil write the story on the mysterious cop.
County's flushing money down the toilet.
Okay, y'all, hang on. Cecil, there was a young lady years ago, over 20 years ago, wrote an article because I became concerned about the waste of toilet paper in the county, of people walking out the door just carrying it because it was stacked up by the custodians on the back of the commodes. She wrote that, overhearing a conversation of me telling one of the custodians, quit doing that or you're going to be leaving with the toilet paper. And she wrote that and got a Texas Presswoman's Award. And I could picture her brown-headed, about 5'2". Oh, do you know who I'm talking about, Lynn? That was during your time.
I know. But we've been doing that down at the newspaper offices for years. I didn't know there was anything wrong with it.
Well, I had a lady, I stopped her one day, she came out of the restroom, she had 3 rolls of toilet paper under each arm. And I said, what do you do with that toilet paper? She said, well, hey, if you want some, I'll go in there and get you some rolls too. No, ma'am.
Well, Cecil, good to have you.
Is this home to you, Wichita County, or?
Yes.
All right, great.
Are you a mass comm major? I was at one time, a long time ago. And look where I'm
Okay, it is 12:04 and we're adjourned.